This is Orc Analysis.
This is Orc Analysis.
This is
We's Arc Analysis.
We's
Arc Analysis.
We's home.
I'm trying to get the
We's
home. Grr.
One.
Food. I am good. Are you good too?
Yeah. I good, boy?
Hungry. Boss stink.
Stink.
Arc
Analysis.
Arc Analysis. That's MVP right there.
We3, published by Vertigo, which is, if you didn't know, part of DC, or defunct now. 2004, written by Grant Morrison, drawn by Frank Quietly.
Was this the book that put Vertigo under? Could be. Suck it, Grant Morrison. Was it Grant Morrison that wrote this?
Yeah, dude. Is this the first time? This is the first time. No, it's not the first time we've done Grant Morrison, but
yeah, we did.
It's the first time in a while.
You did Gothic, didn't you?
Batman R.I.P. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this is not his best work.
Amazing. This
is from not Hall of Famer Grant Morrison.
You
think so? Huh?
Not Hall of Famer yet. It's possible.
Yeah, all right. We only have. Are we still sticking to how many slots?
Are you good too?
I don't mind, but he wouldn't make one of the slots.
It was 6, right?
7.
We're keeping it 6 back?
No, we're going to 7.
We're doing 7 now?
7 went to the Excelsior.
Okay, fair enough.
Would you put him in the 6-pack? That's a real question now.
Yeah, for sure.
Huh. I don't know.
But I don't know. Sorry, I misunderstood you. I thought you were saying, would you do a 6-pack on him? I was like, yeah.
Yes,
sure.
we would. Would he make the 6-pack
Hall
of Fame writers that Coke and Dank, Comic Patrol are in the process of adding in our second Hall of Famer? Would he make...
There's an argument for that, yeah.
There is an argument, but would he make it is the question.
I don't know.
I don't think so.
We've only done one, and we kind of hate him now. So
we did R.I.P. I didn't hate him about R.I.P.
No, I meant Alan Moore. I said we've only done one member.
But he deserves it. He deserves my hate for what you've done for the community and the larger industry. Again, check out episode 100.
Well, Grant Morrison...
episode 52. Episode
52, yeah.
53 for our Hall of Fame episode with Alan Moore. Great episode.
Grant Morrison is the reason why the Justice League slimmed down to the 7, right? So he started that. Otherwise, it was just like...
So you think a writer deserves to be in the Hall of Fame based on shrinking a cast? Or
no.
The tone that now the 7 have?
No, but for defining an era, yeah.
Would you say he is the quintessential Justice League run?
Yep.
We're talking in the span of comic book writers. He's not the only one to have done significant things. Comics, titles, invent characters, So
no, but he did, like you're saying, he did Gothic. He did. It doesn't matter.
I think it's safe to take the field, but again, we'll see if I.
He revamped the. He did the JLA. That's him.
Sure. Okay.
That's his creation. Right. He revamped the JLA.
That's all you got from me. That's good, but is that all you have for me?
No, of course it's not all I have for you.
So
but this is not about his legacy. It's about We3.
Yeah, his first one.
One of his earlier works, yeah. The story is government has employed cyborg animals to assassinate national threats, but after the most recent mission, which we start out with at the very beginning, the first pages of the first book, they are tasked with decommissioning the current 3 projects, which is a dog, a cat, and a rabbit, and their handler Roseanne breaks them out instead.
It's an amazing premise. Yeah. That line alone is worth the price of reading it. I just didn't think they carried home that premise in the 3 issues that we got. So that's really my gripe.
It's interesting because it is only 3 issues, and it's like, why?
Yeah.
This could have been twice as long and then that much deeper, right? And that much more impactful. I enjoyed... What's up?
Or if you know it was only going to be 3, you could have streamlined this to really be like, if you want to get my punch to the gut, you could have done that. But you spent a lot of time meandering with characters and different departments and jargon that I didn't care about in terms of I really only want to spend time with the the big three, little three, We3
We3, the dog, the cat, and the 1, 2. Their names were 1, 2, and 3,
original.
which is great. But their design is really cool.
I enjoyed that.
We talk about that, like they're in like these big robotic exoskeletons that
Yeah, they're like
have
mech
all these
suits.
weapons and things. Yeah,
They're. I would describe it as puffy, but it's like a metal suit, right? It's more like a marshmallow, kind of a little bit of Big Hero 6. Like
yeah,
that's the look of like
yeah,
something that
yeah.
would be like fat and jolly, but actually armor and steel. And then at the top, you'd see these heads pop out. That's actual animals, which is kind of cool. But again,
Yeah.
we were talking about how I would have loved to have more understanding of the ins and outs of the tech. Like these, especially cat and dog, are always hungry and always eating. And like cats and dogs, they would be constantly shitting. So I'd love to see like how that works.
You want to see all of that stuff too?
You could have gave me like 3 panels of just like a little trap door opening up in the back and like shit falling out. Like that's at least played for laughs. But you understand kind of the ins and outs of this mech suit more than you want to let on, right? I don't know if this was more about the premise, more about the characters, or more about kind of not the twist, but the climax and the final standoff. Right? I don't know where he wanted to put more of the attention to, and I would have loved more of the attention on the 3 characters than everything else we got.
Interesting.
Personally.
I really I have very few complaints with this book. I'll be honest with you. Like I thought it was great. I don't really. I think to push back on you, I think they spent just enough time with the 3 characters they needed to, because they
Sure.
are just a dog, cat, and bunny,
Right.
and they have no idea what's going on,
Right.
and he conveys that really well. It's like they have no idea what's going on. They all have their own motivations. Like the bunny just wants to just go,
Mhm.
wants to just hop around. The cat is a little bit more like sneaky and
I wouldn't say sneaky, but
sneaky's not the right word. You're right. As soon as I said that, I was like, that's not it. Sly, like he's just kind of like he wants to
sure.
survive, and the dog wants to go home.
The dog's
and be told
loyal.
he's a good
Like
boy.
they're
Yeah.
all taking up, especially the 1 and 2, which is cat and dog. The dog takes up all the dog characteristics, which is loyal, subservient, and very much of like good boy. Like he wants the gratification. The cat is more like has a better sense. Is I guess more humanistic of like, oh, I don't trust these suits. These guys stink. I don't like what you're telling me. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to eat now. So
yeah.
it's more individualistic, even though it's part of a team and kind of built to be, I guess, a killing machine. But
Yeah.
you say you have little to gripe about this, but one of your major gripes was it wasn't long enough for you.
Yeah.
One.
Well, that could have been longer, and the turnaround with the villain, like the same versus same.
2, who's the
was
villain?
maybe the
Because
humans.
there's one created, and then there's one that
Yeah.
they're attacking for. So like, I thought that was a little muddy. And then 3, the first issue's kind of lost on the fact that they do all the setup with everything that's going on in all the department rooms. So you get all the bubbles from all the lab assistants, the scientists, the generals, and I didn't want that. Like I didn't care
That's
about that.
cool. I thought that was cool.
That's what pulled me out of it. I
Oh.
really like the premise of I want to follow these 3 pets, go kill a whole bunch of things, and then if you tell me like something's defective, then I can hear from everybody else in a suit and tie. But it was more flipped of like, okay, no, here's why we've built these guys. Here's what's happening with them, and then it not until like the tail end of the first issue do we even follow the characters, the big 3, as they go off to like hunt. So by the time the second issue comes around, it's more about those 3, so I enjoy it more, right? But I didn't care about what's going on in basically the facility or the agency, let's call it that.
I think that was important to showcase establish and showcase just how the powers that be viewed the animals.
Mhm.
Right? There's Roseanne the handler who actually saw them as animals, like living creatures, even though they have become something different at this point.
Right.
And then there was the one of my favorite parts in this is because it was so twisted. Was I had trouble because at the beginning they weren't showing their heads, right? The suits and the generals and stuff.
Yep.
So it was kind of getting a hard read on who's saying what.
Right.
But the sense is that there was one guy who was like, when he learned that they could talk very basic English, he was just like, what the
Who's floored?
Who
Yeah.
did that?
Like they brought in
It's
a
like,
suit to show about the project.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's like, let's now we got to decommission him. Like what? And then like on the way to like, the elevator, he's like trying to like justify himself. He's like, oh, I have a dog at home. Like, you think I don't like dogs? Like I do. It's just this is free. Like he was actually like trying to justify his callousness towards them. Like we just got to get rid of them. They're just objects, right? And in a sense, they are because they're not really animals anymore. They're now cyborgs or some
Yeah.
sort of creation. And I really
AI.
liked how in the beginning you didn't get much from them because you just were like, as the story went on, you kind of their personalities started to come out a bit more. It wasn't just what we thought at the beginning. It was just
Machines for
robots.
kill. I mean,
Yeah,
but you knew once you saw a cat, dog, and rabbit, it was going to be distinct, different levels of.
of
And
course.
Tim
I
see a
didn't think.
cat and dog, right? But
Yeah, I didn't think I would like. It was very tragic how it all goes down, right? And
yeah,
it pulled on the heartstrings a little bit more so than I expected, especially from 3 issues. I think it's really well written. Like when the dog, because they I'm gonna say dumb, but I don't mean dumb as in stupid. I just mean dumb as in they don't know
innocent.
what's going on.
Yeah,
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 innocence, right? Like
yeah,
naive. It's just like they just want to do right and they just can't because
yeah.
they've been they've been engineered
Programmed,
to be
yeah, to just do
weapons.
one thing, yeah.
And they have
Yeah,
no idea. Like when they meet the farmer on the road and they shoot, like the son shoots him, and so they kill him, and, and the
yeah,
dog's just like, "I'm a bad dog."
yeah.
Like, what did I
So
do?
again, those are moments I liked because it's them. So for me, I wanted more Homeward Bound and less
Yeah,
uh, Rambo First Blood. And for me, Rambo First Blood is an action movie. It's like a,
yeah,
a, a, a depressing tale of what it's like being a war veteran and like the bureaucracy behind it of like, listen, how do we deal with this, right? So there's for me in the first issue, it's more the jargon and figuring out what these guys are as opposed to like letting me get lost in the homeward boundness of it, which would have been amazing, which is just I want to get lost with these pets and see how they react in the world.
So would you have rather it started with them already escaped?
Yes.
I see. Interesting.
Or like a failed mission or something goes wrong. And like I don't know what they are yet. Like it's kind of like maybe it was just a quick like a secret attack. Like there's that opening, right, where the
Mhm.
guy's at the door and he doesn't know what hits him. And we don't know
Yeah, that's how it
anything.
opens. Yeah, they're on a
Yeah.
mission.
I wouldn't mind a few of those before we catch up and then kind of like let me say this now because I don't know if I'll remember to say it. The paneling in this is fucking amazing. Like what
Yeah,
they do with the
yeah,
artwork and how they stretch and what they do with squares and there's certain like that first issue has amazing sort of like surveillance shots where like they show you just random squares of everything that
amazing.
the onlooker and like that's great. And then in the second issue they have amazing shots of like when something's getting fired, like when the animal is doing a shot, like it splinters into like several smaller squares and you get to see artwork in that. Like I thought that was amazing and that helped kept me in it. But that's again, that's the perspective I wanted. I wanted the perspective of the animals as opposed to the perspective of the humans. Because for me, I already knew the humans were the real villains, right? The animals in this are kind of the tools of destruction, but ultimately the ones that were going to get the short end of the stick. And lo and behold, they get the short end of the stick.
They did. Yeah,
But I like the fact the premise was good enough that I didn't really need I didn't need to know background. I didn't need to know how they were built, who made them, why they made them, why the government interjected. The fact that this $1 million, $1 billion project exists, I already have that with enough kind of understanding of movie logic and comic logic. Like either these guys perform or they're not, or they're gonna get destroyed, right? Like I kind of already knew that going in, based off what I've read in my experiences. So like, let me just enjoy as much time with these three in the wild as I can get. And so like that's why the second issue is like my favorite issue. You get the most understanding of who they are characteristically, and then what they would like, just them eating mice that were sent after them, right? And like the way that they
which
go
is
about
cool because they
killing
even
different
engineered.
mice.
Yeah, because the fact in that first issue too, where they talk about the mice, where they're turning them into like basically Constructicons, where they just like they put like engines together faster than
Yeah.
people can because they have these small little hands and stuff, and then
That
they
and
send them
they
out
put
after the
drills on some of
animals.
the like mice's heads and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
wild.
That was cool. Like I'd rather see what's coming out of the lab than
Yeah,
understanding the background behind the science of it. Like that's who cares, right? Like keep me entertained essentially. Like everything else is gonna clean up when it needs to clean up. And then the third act, your favorite trope, they fight a bigger dog in order to stay
Yeah.
alive. And then like
Bull Mastiff. Yeah.
I get because you gave us background of Rosanna and the Doctor and all the good team, quote unquote good team in the first issue, that by the time you get the third issue, the things that happen make more sense. But I don't think it would have changed a lot if I didn't get an initial, like, it's one scene with Roseanne petting the dog that I know the dog likes the girl, right? You don't have to over analyze or over exposition a character that one scene can give me all the information I need. So for me, it's more like, because it's only 3 issues, there's so much wasted information given when you could have had more fun with just the perspective of just like, if I got to follow the cat for a day and be like, stink, stink, suck, suck, and just like lower the camera where I'm seeing everything from her level or his level, whatever.
Interesting. You don't think that would like ruin the
Looking up.
pacing for it?
No, because they were the pace, right? Like, this wasn't a hurry up and go fast kind of thing. Like, they reacted to their environment. So I was okay with. There's not a lot of moments of peace for them. Like, it's only like at night or when they're like damaged and off to themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything else, they're running. They're either running from rats, they're running from helicopters, they're running from people.
Yeah, and they're running from an entire like branch of government agency, right? So
Yeah,
at one side, it's kind of like, how long would that let them happen? Because they're going to throw everything they have at them, right? So how long would they actually be on the run? It wouldn't be more than a couple of days, realistically. That's kind of what it was, right? How long was it? Like 2 days?
Maybe
3 days, maybe.
And
I don't know.
if we're nitpicking, I find it hard to believe that like $1 million government agency doesn't have a self destruct button on these motherfuckers to really just take it down if they wanted to.
She disabled that.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that there was something that she was supposed to shut them down and she disabled it.
I'll
Roseanne,
give it to you.
So
I won't argue it. I'll give it to you.
yeah.
But there's good in here. I just don't feel it got utilized to its best abilities, especially with the artwork and the art styling more than anything, right? Like, it's not artwork that's gonna like win an award off of like visually stunning, and it doesn't need to be. Like, it's very muted and kind of almost depressing. And the fact that like you see every sort of pain, look, and decision in animals' faces, which is heart wrenching enough. But the paneling is where you create and move pacing. So I didn't mind being in nature with them because at any moment they can splinter a panel into 9, or a page into 9, or into 16, or into like 27, or like whatever number, or into 3. Right? It's just we spend too much time with humans, and where I was sitting, these are the least interesting characters of this book. So why do I want?
Yeah, I didn't mind that. I didn't mind it too much. There's a couple parts that I wanted to highlight too. Like you mentioned, like the security camera, like the paneling.
Yeah.
And that's like probably the most exciting part for me, is because you can see it happening like in a movie, how it's just silent,
Right.
and you see the animals come out and they just start lacing up like the hallways, and that one doctor's like, if I hadn't stopped to talk to her, I would have got killed too, because he just missed it in a way. That was really cool. I liked the part where they have to fight the rats on the bridge.
That was great.
And the train trestle, and then the train falls, and the dog thinking the part that's crazy
follows through. Yeah.
The dog, like he's like, no, I gotta save the human that's and he pulls him out of the water, and he's like, I'm a good boy, and then he runs away, and then it pans down, and the man's missing half of his body.
It's amazing.
Like these playing God thing is just like
the farmer you loved.
Yeah.
And I even love like certain. There's a moment where you just see a page of like the truck, the roaming truck that's supposed to follow these guys, and the way that they set up the truck, where it's like 2 engineers on computers like at the top of the truck, like sitting in like these little canopies, and everybody like sitting low, fixing. Like, I loved how that looked, right? So they had the right feel for it. I just don't think the execution was as great. And you've asked this to me several times before. Imagine if this book had little to no talking in it. How stronger those decisions by 1, 2, and 3 would have been, knowing that all they could say is bark or good boy, or like if you only got their staggered way of talking.
Yeah, I don't think so in this one. I think the talking added to their Frankenstein.
For them, it's the other people that I don't really care
about. You mean everybody? I think it was just them.
No. Like, if this was more of you only get specific important information from like 2 characters, and everything else is basically action sounds, and you're watching the paneling and the flow of each page. I thought
I like
it
the way
could
I
have been
like it.
stronger emotionally.
Yeah, I like it the way it is. I felt a lot in the scenes that um did have talking because the way they communicate was so childlike. It
Hmm.
made it like it kind of it makes you think like it's like giving a
That's
toddler a
them. That's not
bazooka.
what I'm cutting. I'm cutting everybody
Yeah.
else.
Well, everybody else that was only at the beginning, right? Where they're just trying to set the stage. I don't know. I didn't bother. I was engaged the whole time. I was like, oh,
Sure.
okay, so they're gonna decommission. This is cool. Like I like knowing all that because I didn't really leave. For me, when I was done, there was nothing like unanswered for me. Would I probably would have liked it more than 3 issues.
Hmm. So you like
Um,
the villain of the bigger dog coming to?
it didn't. It wasn't like it came out as like a big threat, and then it just was a point of them showcasing how much they work as a team, like how well trained they were.
Mhm.
Did I love it? No, I didn't. But it was like a looming threat that they had, right? I was hoping it was another dog or it wasn't another one of these things, but it is what it is, and
What
it got
animal would you
pushed
have put
away.
in it?
I thought it was just gonna be like a full fledged robot,
Oh, that's right.
right? Just a complete like
Yeah, but thinking now, what animal would you put in to go against a dog,
a
cat, or
bear,
rabbit?
something like this was just a bull mastiff, right? It's like a big
Yeah.
dog, but then that's on brand because they're going with like um domesticated animals, right?
Hmm.
Like and we didn't talk about the covers.
Oh, I was gonna. We
Every
didn't even talk about the homeless man. Like I liked all that stuff when the
homeless
cops
man
are
was
after
dope.
them. Yeah,
Yeah,
and he
and
like
he
I
saves
like
the day.
that. Yeah,
The ending confused me a little bit. The ending confused me a
it's all
little
right.
bit.
There's a couple whooshes in here.
And well, just because like did the general the soldier that found them just have like a flash of humanity? Was it the scientist? Like they didn't really
Yes.
say, right? Because they cut him off. It's like, okay, I'm just gonna let you
Well,
guys live now.
after what happened to Rosanna, I'm pretty sure everybody
And
softened
they
up a
they
little.
had shed their mechanical parts,
Yeah.
so it was like, all right, they're harmless now. But that I was a little
Yeah.
confused with. I didn't. That was my favorite. That wasn't my favorite. But
I mean,
the
they
covers were amazing because for there's 3 issues,
yeah,
3 animals, and each cover was like missing dog.
yeah
Please,
with
if
the
found,
life
call
before.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
before they got.
missing
Yeah, that was
cat.
really good.
If found,
That was
like I
good.
was like, oh, it gives them like a background, right?
A life before.
A loving home. Yeah. Did you talk about the art? Did you like it? I know you said there was like it's colors, but it's kind of like muted colors.
Yeah, no, it works for it. It's
It
very
works,
impressive.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the whole First Blood Rambo that I got from it. It felt
Yeah.
like a forgotten troop sort of thing, like a veteran coming back home and like you did good but not good enough, and like even you could
Yeah.
do the best job and still the government's gonna turn your back on it. Like I got
Yeah.
all of that from the art styling and what they chose for it. So like for me, that was a lot of the saving grace. The premise and the look of it was definitely
Yes.
stronger than the writing for me.
Yeah. And just like the on top, just to piggyback on what you're saying about like the government stuff, is it's just like and all that can go wrong with humankind's like obsession with playing God,
Mhm.
right? They just want to play God, and they've just turned these innocent animals into these like killing machines, and they don't even know what they're doing. Which
Nope. Good boy. Yeah, dog is
good
good.
boy. I is good.
Even
Is you too?
the way that they did the blood, because they used a lot of like uh it was like bulbous, not bulbous, like circular and bubbled. Like
Yeah.
I like it when anyone does blood in like a cool or original way, and this definitely had like blood splats, a way I
Yeah.
had not seen it to this point. Right. So again, I can talk circles around how much I appreciated how the book looked and how keep me turning pages, but I can't say the writing matched with the art styling.
I'm wondering. I'm interested. We can go ahead then, because we rate these on a good or bad basis.
Hmm.
Boom being good, Bob being bad, whoosh for what I just read. I'm really, really interested to hear what you have to say with this. I'm going to give it a boom
Boom.
Yep.
because I enjoyed it. I think this is one of those books that did I love it? I didn't love it, but it's one of those books that's going to stick with me. Like I'm never going to forget this. Do you know
Yeah,
what I
but
mean? Like
because of what you enjoyed about it, or because what you can fix to make it better.
because of the premise, the idea of it, like
So
row
you're giving a boom
cyborg
for the
animals.
premise, or you're giving a boom for the con?
No, I'm saying I'm going to remember it because of the
Sure.
premise. So
Okay.
the premise is original, and they didn't. It's not like they didn't fuck it up. I think it was. I think it was really well written. I think it was a little short, but I think it was. I think for what it is, I think I enjoyed it a lot.
I'd love the pair to come back to this because I definitely think where they are now in their careers, they'd have a different view and foresight on what they'd want to improve from this. It gets a bomb for me, and it's not because it's a bad read. It's just not everything matches to the level it should be. With such a great premise, the writing's got to be there, and the writing wasn't there for me. The art exceeds, and when I say art, it's the art styling exceeds the words that I'm getting. That there are often times where I didn't need words. I could get everything I wanted from, like, to give emotions to dog and cat faces in such peril and weird circumstances that are often bloodshed is its own level of expertise. So like that's why the bar gets raised so high. I just really wanted a cohesive and clean story to get through this. Like that's what I wanted this story to be, clean, because it's pretty open premise, right? Like we train these, we built these animals for weapons. It's not gonna work anymore. We gotta shut them down. Oh no, they escaped. Well, we're gonna find a way out of it. And again, that ending, to your credit, doesn't really line up with how it should have ended.
Yeah.
2 of those 3 guys should have went down, to be honest with you. Like number 3 should have died immediately, but they kept it going on. And between 1 or 2, it would have been a nice toss up to see who would have won that fight between the dog. But I felt if you gave a drastic ending, it would have helped me love it even more because that's more of a reality. And if I'm going to lengthen this out and talk about what this could have been a metaphor for, and like if this is talking about the industrial complex or the military complex and how they treat veterans, chances are not everyone comes back for more. So to see 2 fallen and then 1 kind of living its new life with maybe another veteran, which could have been the homeless man. We don't really get the backstory of the homeless man, but it's nice to think this is another forgotten soldier who kind of gets just a chunk of money at the end from that one scientist and then left along his way. So they don't really help him. You just give him enough money so he can eat for like today and tomorrow.
Yeah.
So again, the government forgets you again. That's another kind of tent pole. I wish he stuck in harder because you could have said a lot with this book if you really wanted to talk about more issues. But that's me reading further into it because I didn't feel the writing matched what the premise could have been. So
I think if there was more issues, I think this would have been like perfect.
Yeah,
because they could have.
This would have been a 6-book issue. Goddamn, this would be great.
They could have talked about a lot more things. They could have gone a lot more dynamics. They could have brought a bit more details, just like you were saying, gone a couple different themes. But for what it is, this is what we got now.
It's interesting. I'd love to see this pair or a pair come back to this premise and put their stance on it. I don't know. I don't know how often that happens, but you know, it's such a good idea.
It's supposed to be a deluxe edition, I believe.
Where they just stick everything together.
No,
they add more scenes and.
I don't know. I included this deluxe hard for 10 brand new story pages. Yeah, so they added 10 pages. I don't know. I don't know if that's good enough to do to change your mind or change my mind, but
depends. It depends the read. Where you put those pages, what those pages are. Like, listen, I'm nowhere sitting here thinking like this is the worst thing. This is not a Ninjets.
No, this is not bad at all, and it's not amazing either.
I'm harder on it because the intro is so good, right? Like the bar was raised off the premise, and I read the premise before I even picked up the book, right? Like these are one of the things that you sent me. I was like, oh, what is this? We3? Like this is a weird name off the jump. So when you read about it, you're like, this could be fucking good. And then to see the artist and the writer's interpretation of what you have already been imagining, and it's something as simple as just give me that homeward bound connection, which is baked in there. It's right there for you. So just jump on. It's just a little more of that I would have wanted. So yeah, no,